So this podcast episode specifically is going to be a little bit different, guys. I have people fly in from all over the country, even out of the country, to come on this show. And one of my guests today for this slot actually had a delay with his flight. We're still going to get the recording in. He's on his way to San Diego right now. And so I have this time that's open. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, do I just take a break? Do I just go have lunch and enjoy myself and wait till he gets in town? Or Father, I asked God, I said, God, you got something for me to give him today? And he says, oh yeah, I got something for him. So this is really just an act of obedience. This will be a solo episode to share with you guys. I'm sitting here drinking my Celsius. I record a lot of back-to-back episodes. First Friday of every month, I have people flying from all over. I leverage my network. As you guys know, I bring on incredible guests, and we podcast. Me and Tony, shout out Tony Hernandez.
Yeek.
There he is, guys. Tony, just appreciate you so much, man. I mean, I'll have Tony here, guys. We're here 9:30, 9:45 a.m., and Tony sometimes ain't getting out here till 5, 6 p.m., and we put in the reps, we put in the hours, and the Cody Cottle show would not happen without you, Tony. So
Thanks,
I want you
man.
to know I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you too, brother. Appreciate it.
It's been fun, and we're just getting started. We got some stuff we're cooking up our sleeves, don't we?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Should
We
the
are.
audience be pretty stoked?
Yes. Yeah, this is gonna change. I think it's gonna change the whole dynamic on how content's created, I think.
Yeah, dude, I think so too, man. And Tony and I are working on some cool things, and that'll, as that comes to fruition, right? Don't announce the move until you make it. We'll tell you guys more about that. But right now, Tony's always pushing me and challenging me to bring more to this episode, to the podcast, to bring more to you guys. But to this episode specifically, I have something God's been putting on my heart that I want to share with you guys. And if you've listened to me, for a while, or you have followed me, then you've probably heard me say there will never be another you. And I wear these bracelets. I've given them to multiple guests that have come on the podcast. And every single day I wear this bracelet, there will never be another you. And it's a reminder to me, to encourage others as well, how unique and special you are. And I had a childhood, guys, that was really tough. I've shared a lot of it. And here's the thing is, a lot of you have had tough childhoods and tough lives too. We all have. But one thing that's for certain is there will never be another you in the world. And I believe that God, you are made in his likeness and his image. I am made in his likeness and his image. And there's such a beauty inside of uniqueness. And I think the world can beat us up sometimes. I really feel right now somebody's listening to this and you're struggling today. You're struggling in life. You're feeling beat up. You're feeling like giving up. And I just want to speak to you and remind you that there will never be another you in the world, that you were created perfect just the way you are. Inside of that, God gave you gifts. He gave you gifts, talents. Like, think about it, like unique things that you can do in a unique way, better or different or unique to you, that nobody else in the world can do in the exact same way. He gave you ideas, he gave you dreams, he gave you passions. Tony and me, we don't have the exact same dream, gifts, talents, ideas, dreams, and passions. Now, we can have synergy and convergence and alignment on that, and that's where it gets really fun, where we can run towards goals together as a team and do greater things together. But I just, growing up without my dad, and my dad in prison, and I battled so much as a young man. I hit puberty late. I struggled with making friends, and my home life wasn't very good, and I was super insecure, and I just had to go through all these different things that all of us go through in our own way. But I had a mentor enter my life, and his name was Wally. And I had a lot of mentors. Like, there's people that will listen to this, and my dad, Mark, my sister's dad, he really was like the dad I never had. And he's a big mentor in my life. Darren, who passed away, who was my big brother through the Big Sisters and Big Brothers program, he was a mentor for me. But I will say that Wally was the mentor that changed my mindset. And he came into my life from 13 to 16 years old. And for the first time in my life, someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And this whole thing, there will never be another you, that constantly is a recurring theme with me that I like to share with people, is because Wally passed away of cancer. And he was like the dad I never had, and I loved him, and he loved me. And one thing he instilled in me was, Cody, there will never be another you in the world. And I think that his encouragement helped me really see that, for one, and find confidence in that, find confidence in like who God created me to be, and not like comparing myself to other people all the time. Like we all so much do. It's like crazy. Like on one hand, this phone that I hold in my hand and this podcast and social media is a really cool thing, because I can speak these words and I can reach millions of you guys, hundreds of thousands of you guys, and I can change your life. But on the other hand, it's so easy to compare yourself to me and to say, Cody's good at talking or doing this, or he's putting out all this content. And it's easy to diminish who you are and what you're doing in a comparison to me. And we all do it. I do it. So I really wanted to make an episode to speak to you guys, reminding you that there will never be another you in the world. And all you have to do every single day is wake up and work at being the best version of you. That is the place that you're going to find the most joy, fulfillment, success. All of the things that you desire in your heart will only be achieved through an authentic pursuit of who God has called you to be, and what the best version of that looks like, every single day. And I just wanted to encourage you guys on this episode, and I'll tell you some things that helped me out in this journey. For one, I had to get around people that had a higher level of belief in themselves and what they were doing than I did. So right now, if you're somebody in life that you look in the mirror, and this is a good place to start, go into your bathroom, look in the mirror, and look at the man or woman that's looking back at you. And look for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. It's uncomfortable to look at yourself in the mirror for that long. And that's what I had to do. I had to look in the mirror at myself, and I had to get real with who I was and who looked back at me. And there was time in my life that I hated the man that looked back at me in the mirror. I was ashamed of who I was. But that was the starting point of being real with who I am, not this facade and this idea of who I am or how I want other people to see me in the world. And that's where I started. And once I was really honest with myself and who Cody Cottle is, then I could begin in the pursuit of who I wanted to become. And I had to sit down and I had to go to God and be like, God, who am I? God, why am I here? So I would say go look in the mirror at yourself and be honest with yourself with what you see back, what you feel, maybe even write it down on a piece of paper. Then write down, God, who am I? And God, why am I here? And then the next step in that, and I started to say this earlier, was you got to go get around people that believe in themselves and believe in what they're doing, because that is contagious. So for me, I began to expose myself and get in proximity to people who knew who they were. And they knew who they were, and they knew they were unique, and they knew there would never be another them in the world, and they had confidence and belief in themselves and confidence and belief in what they were setting out to do. And I've sat in this podcast studio and I've interviewed some of the most phenomenal, guys, people that make millions upon millions of dollars, people that are phenomenal husbands and wives, that are great parents to their children, that are doing things that we don't even always talk about on the show, that is literally shaping and making the world a better place. I talk to them every single day because I wanted to get in proximity to them. And the common thing that I always find is they believe in themselves and they believe in what they're doing. And when I meet people, I'll tell you a story. I years ago, after Wally passed away, my dream was to be a motivational speaker. And that's been a really tough journey for me, guys. Like, I'm still in pursuit of that in my life. And I've taken a lot of detours, whether right or wrong. It's making me a better man along the way. And this is an outlet. I get to do that for you guys. But I was working at this car dealership, and I was selling Chevy. And this guy came in, and he they were like sales trainers coming in. They paid him a lot of money to come in, and they also like motivational pep talks and sales training. But the guy was telling his journey and how he's done motivational speaking all around the world and been on stages with John C. Maxwell and like all these big people. And I went up to the guy, and this is a tip you can take from me. Anytime somebody in life is doing something I want to do, I do whatever it takes to get in proximity to them, to get some kind of wisdom or mentorship from them or access to them or relationship with them, because I want what they got. So I went up to this individual, and I won't say his name, and I was like, I want to do what you're doing. My purpose is not to sell cars for the rest of my life. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to travel the world. I want all these things. And he just stopped me. And he's like, Cody, if you really want to do this, I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer it right now. Here's my number. Here's my email. Follow up with me in a few weeks when you really have an answer you want to share with me. And he said, Cody, what breaks your heart in the world? And at first I was like, what? What breaks my heart in the world? And he said, when you know what breaks your heart in the world and what you're truly passionate about going out and solving in the world, that is the thing that will convict you enough to go the distance when it comes to public speaking and changing people's lives. And until you know what breaks your heart in the world, you're never going to find the thing that's going to drive you through all of the adversity it's going to take to be able to do that. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I wanted to answer him right away. That's how I am. I'm a driver. I'm a type A personality. I'm like, I can come up with a great answer right now. But he wouldn't let me. And I went home that night. I'm like, I know it breaks my heart in the world. I want to motivate people and And I wrote it down, and I kept looking at it, and it was probably about 5 days later, and I put on a big piece of paper by my bed on the wall, like taped to it, and I just would look at it at night before I'd go to sleep, and I would think about like what breaks my heart in the world. And then it hit me, and I got really emotional. And what breaks my heart in the world is I would see all these people that I loved and that I cared about, my family members and my friends, and so many of them so gifted and so talented. I always had this ability to see inside of people like, God gave you this. Like, I wish I had what you have. And yet so many of them never use it, never even access it. It's like they're scratching the surface of what like God gave them, this like beautiful gift, and they've tore off like the corner of the wrapping paper, and they haven't even got into the box, unveiled it, and began to use what's actually in there. And so what broke my heart in the world, and I got back to him, I said, I meet people every day that I love and I care about that are not living into the God-given individual that they were created to be. It's like I see their gifts that they don't even see when they look in the mirror. And that breaks my heart in the world, because so many of them are living lives that are meaningless, not fun, not purposeful, not full of fulfillment. They're struggling with mental health and this and that. They're drinking and partying and doing drugs and things of the world to escape this depressive feeling that they have, because they're just not being who they were created to be. That's what breaks my heart in the world. And he hit me back with a real simple email. He said, then go change it. And that began a journey for me of putting myself out to the world. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm making videos. Everybody's making fun of me. I'm not going viral. I'm not cool. But I'm making messages every day, telling people to be who God created them to be, motivating them, inspiring them, pouring into them, sharing my journey of what I've learned about developing who God created me to be. And you know what, guys? I'm still doing that. I'm still that young kid pulling his phone out, making videos, hoping that it impacts one person's life today. I hope this podcast, the reason I do this, I fund this whole thing out of my own pocket. I take my hard-earned money. I take my time. I take my energy to pour into this. I don't get nothing out of this, but the one reason I still do it, and I will continue to do it till the day I die, is that I hope that this episode reaches one person that needed to hear my words today, or needed to hear the guests that I bring on, and that you realize that there will never be another you in the world. And that I hope that I inspire you, that I motivate you, that I equip you with wisdom, knowledge, tools, education, ideas, thoughts, whatever it may be, influence to step into who you were called to be. So that's the heart of why I do all of this. my dream to share with you guys, full transparency. I own Content Daily. I have a marketing company. It's really the sponsor of this. The company pays for it, but it's my company. I'm the sole owner. And the reason I do all this is because I just want to change people's lives. Like, I don't really care about the financial gain. That's cool. I like building business. I'm passionate about that. I'm good at that. But at the end of the day, like, I talk to my girlfriend all the time about this. If I could do anything, I would just pour into people every single day. I get life out of this. This is life-giving to me. And there's a calling and an anointing on my life to do this. And I feel like when I'm not doing this, I'm out of obedience and I'm out of alignment with who I've called to be. I've gone and made great money. I've built my company up. I've done things. I've even been behind the scenes watching other people build, and God will stir my spirit. And he'll be like, I gave you words to speak into people, yet you're not delivering them. You're being disobedient. And I felt the pressure of that. I felt blessings blocked. So I've gone on a tangent on this episode, but I really hope that you guys got some value out of it. And I want you guys to know that I believe in you. And if you don't believe in yourself right now, then do what Wally did. I hope I can do for you what Wally did for me, because there was time in my life where Wally believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And the fact that he believed in me was enough for me to stand on. That standing on the shoulders of giants, I stood on his shoulders until I believed that my feet were strong enough to hold me up in this lane and in this calling. And I'll tell you right now, I'll flip the script. The fact that there will never be another you in the world, if you don't step into who God created you to be, who in your life suffers? Who in the world suffers? What if you're called to cure cancer? What if you are the person listening to this that gets the idea, the download, the conviction, the passion, and you go into medical and science and all of that, and you stumble upon something that no one else has ever discovered before, and because you were willing to be obedient, you were willing to step into the calling that you have, billions of people's lives are saved because of you. And that could go as small or big as it needs to be. But so many people don't step into who they're created to be. And not only do they suffer, I believe the world suffers. Because what a world it would be that we would all live in if every single day we all woke up and we looked in the mirror and we said, I know who I am, and I'm going to be the best version of me. If we did that every single day, what a beautiful world we would live in, what an impact we would make, what fulfillment and joy and success that we would experience in our lives. And that's what I hope that you guys do today. Remember, there will never be another you, and the world needs you.